A lot of times there's decks that are a flavor of the week, something that crops up that is incredibly popular, then all of a sudden everybody's running it and then it just kind of falls off because everybody knows how to play against it or how to counter it. Silver Surfer is one of those decks that it just is always solid value. It can crop up in popularity or drop off, but even in those middle ground times, it is still incredibly impactful because you're able to build a Silver Surfer in a way that you have those strong counter cards built in. So potentially even tech in a Cosmo, a Shadow King if you're seeing a lot of like increased in power type cards. You can tech those in. You could tech in a Rogue if you're seeing primarily ongoing cards. And it's just one of the most flexible ways to build, even though it's restricted to 3 cost cards for the most part. Now, Silver Surfer is one of those that almost always performs well, so it has several ways to address and deal with big common decks that we're seeing. So a Goose can stop a Galactus, those big combo-driven late-game payoff cards. A Juggernaut can disposition their power. It's either a great follow-up to Storm, or if we anticipate a Galactus coming down, we can yank and smash Galactus straight out of that lane into another one. We have Polaris as a way to pull their 1 or 2 cost cards over to either cap out a lane, to either just make it less efficient for them. Maybe we pull their Sunspot out of behind an armor lane. Maybe we pull Yondu into the Galactus lane, or what would be the Galactus lane, and block it all together. And then we also have Storm, which can be restrictive to Galactus by limiting the number of lanes that Galactus can potentially be played into efficiently. We can increase our chance of being able to deal with and counter it if it does get played. We have Killmonger to take care of all of those 1-cost cards. Right now, I've seen a just increase in 1-cost cards being floated onto the board. So it used to be where Armor and Cosmo were teched in just about any time you were running 1-costs. But I've seen a huge reduction in the number of Killmongers, or I've noticed a lot less Killmongers in games that I've played. And so a lot more people are just floating their Sunspot on the board and expecting it to be there. Killmonger can help swing those games back in our favor, and a lot of times you don't really think of Killmonger if it just kills the Sunspot, if it just kills a couple of 1-cost cards. You don't really think of it as doing that much if it's not just absolutely obliterating a board full of Ultron bots. But it really is. A 3/3, if you take out just a Sunspot that would have been a 5 power, all of a sudden that's a 3/8 that you're getting in value on the board. And so Killmonger is always great value, especially in a deck that naturally wants to run those counter cards. And overall, very straightforward deck. I got a little sidetracked. I got a little excited because I do really enjoy Silver Surfer. Even though it's not as bursty as it used to be, it is still very solid and in a good spot. So we're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, next up we have this player, and somebody was really nice. They were nice in the last video that I had that showcased this player, and they broke down what this name meant. So they helped translate it for me, and I've forgotten. I apologize. You're Electra in my heart. I wish I could read it. I wish I knew more languages, but unfortunately I do not. So let's go with the Death's Domain is okay for us. We have Nova already there. We do have Mr. Fantastic that can help reach to the left and the right. And that should help us kind of extend our lead, even if we do drop our Killmonger. They do a Maximus, which maximizes our hand size. It's not great. Maybe we slap them with a Maximus right back just to let them know, hey, we have that too. We can do that as well. Let's go ahead and do it. We're going to do the Maximus. We're going to make them draw. They're actually not going to get a Sentinel from the Forge, unfortunately. Okay, well, let's go with the Sarah into the left lane, and then we're going to flood on the last lane. Maybe we do something like I don't know, like a Killmonger, a Brood, and a Silver Surfer. We could do Polaris, Brood, Silver Surfer. I don't know. We'll see. The Maximus, Typhoid Mary, and then Wong. And we did end up dropping Cosmo in this version just because it does potentially create some clunky play lines down the line. So we wanted to lean more in on like the actual own reveals that we have. Now Wong is kind of scary. That tells me this is probably a Hazmat build. I don't like. They could do Hazmat and Odin, but they won't be able to get Luke Cage down. They could do Luke Cage, Hazmat, and then another 2-cost, which is okay, but I don't think it ever beats what we're going to have what we're gonna have played. Let's do Brood to fill up this lane, and then we'll do Killmonger to buff all of our cards, and then Silver Surfer. I feel like the reach from Mr. Fantastic is going to be enough to swing Death's Domain, and so I'm going to focus on these other two, the left and the middle location instead, because I have a read that they're not going to have something like a White Tiger that could potentially win them Death's Domain. And so let's see if that read is correct. Let's see if it pays off. I think it should. We have a pretty substantial amount of power. The 20 power mid, 25 to the left. It is the double hazmat, the Luke Cage, and then what is the last one? The Hit Monkey. The Hit Monkey is huge, and I didn't have the read on the Hit Monkey at all, but unfortunately, this is so expensive, and it's hard to get those plays to trigger exactly how you want. At the end of the day, even though it triggered twice, it's only an 8 power Hit Monkey. It does swing the left lane, but we very luckily win mid by 1. We win right with the Mooster Fantastic on our side over in that lane. We will gladly take the 2 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Kev Onage. The first location is Asteroid M. So pretty much every card that we play is going to get pulled over there, at least until it's capped out. I'm going to go ahead and start with Nova. That way we can at least get a little bit of buffer room if we want to maybe clear it and then play an additional card or have another card pulled over there. We have that flexibility to make that decision. So they didn't play anything on turn 1. Skipped on turn 2 as well. The last location is the Savage Land, which can be killed by Killmonger. We can clear that out. I think we're just going to do away with Asteroid M. We have the Storm. We can then hit it with a Juggernaut, and we're going to clear out whatever they play here this turn, or whatever they play here next turn. And depending on what they play this turn, Agent Coulson. Okay, so we should be fine. I actually think we're going to snap into it. We don't have our Silver Surfer just yet. We don't have Sarah, but we do have the knowledge that we should have this lane locked down. And then maybe we get lucky and we force them into almost capping out or completely capping out the Savage Land, giving us the flexibility to drop our Killmonger when we want to have a very specific amount of specific read on how much power they're going to have in that secondary lane. Unfortunately, the White Queen does go into mid. We have no idea what they pulled from us, either a Polaris, Maximus, or Killmonger. Something. They got something from us. Good, bad, ugly, we don't know. All right, let's do the Scorpion and then the Killmonger. Actually, their hand is already almost full, right? Let's do the Maximus and the Scorpion. I wasn't going to do Killmonger just because we can only drop 2 cards next turn, and they have to be the Killmonger, the Silver Surfer, or the Silver Surfer, and then something else. And so I was gonna drop Killmonger that turn. That way we had the Maximus drop. We didn't want them to draw too many additional resources, but with them already having 7 cards in hand, it's just it was more likely that they only play 1 card, and we're just gonna make them draw whatever card they were gonna draw anyways. We have priority here. We were gonna do the Killmonger, the Silver Surfer. I don't know what they had in hand, but we were gonna do Killmonger, Silver Surfer, give us a decent amount of push here. I mean, they could have had a Devil Dino. They could have beaten us. We'll go ahead and take the 2 cubes. I think with the Devil Dino play, they probably had us, but fortunately, it doesn't look like they had that in their hand. We'll go ahead and take the 2 cubes. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have more wood, and they Thanos snapped at us. So if we end up snapping, it's going to be very satisfying. Okay, so the first play is Nova. Could be a Galactus deck. Let's go ahead and we're going to tempo drop our Goose over into the unknown location. We're going to leave the miniaturized lab alone for now. We do have... Not what I thought it was. This looks more like a Sarah tech deck, but neither of us are going to be able to play Sarah, fortunately. Unfortunately, neither of us will be able to, because we can only play Goose here on turn 5, because this one is locked. It's a rough road out here. We can grab initiative with Mooster Fantastic, but would we rather get 4 power in Monster Island? I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. We're gonna do Mooster Fantastic into mid. That will grab us the miniaturized lab for now. They storm the right lane. We should have initiative going into this turn. So our Juggernaut would take priority over their Juggernaut. It looks like they're running a mirror deck to what we're running. which is wild. Wild that we ran into somebody with the same idea. Maybe they had the same chain of thoughts. Like a lot of Galactus having several counters to that is solid. What decks have a lot of solid counters? We're gonna go ahead and do our Juggernaut. I think we push their Juggernaut out and into Monster Island. No, it's the Killmonger. Okay, so the Killmonger comes down. We are okay with that. If they end up getting their Silver Surfer, that's okay here. I think they realize that they won't be able to do the Sarah in this game, which is perfectly fine with us. Let's do Polaris. We can then do Brood plus Killmonger on the last turn. Brood plus maybe Silver Surfer. We can, or Brood plus Maximus would be solid as well. Oh, the Juggernaut. Okay. So the Juggernaut helps reinforce the lane we already had heavily locked down. They have this one in a chokehold though. That is a massive amount of power. I don't think we can beat that. Let's do Brood and the Killmonger. That's not a lot of power. Maybe they try to do something like Maximus and Silver Surfer here. We're gonna see. We're gonna see it play out. I think we probably lose this one. Morewood seems to be under the impression that they're gonna lose. Okay, so the Rogue and then the Silver Surfer. So they do just have just a chokehold on mid, but we are able to hold down the left and the right lane. Even with the suboptimal draw, we will absolutely take the 2 cubes. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have DJ Big Russ. The first location is Xandar, so they play an early Sunspot. We do have Killmonger built in, which is something that I feel like people have just gotten away from protecting. I've seen so many decks just play their Killmonger, skip float, and just expect it to be fine because you're seeing a lot less Killmongers now. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it was a mistake or not. We're gonna go ahead and do Storm into the right lane. It is Pet Mansion, so we knew that they were gonna play into that location as well. But at least we're gonna limit their Lockjaw lane. Like we lose Pet Mansion. There's no way that we compete with the America Chavez, I don't think. But at least we limit their rotation. Guess we could do this, and then Sarah. We'd be praying for the Silver Surfer. I don't like that because then we're just gonna draw into so many cards for him. Let's do this. It's not as much power as the Maximus, but it feels like what we need to do. They play Thor into Kiln. Oof. They cycle their M'Baku, so we know that they have that. They pull back into Wasp here, so that's a dud draw. But them being able to get Thor up an extra 6 is huge. Like we get an extra 2, maybe 2, 4. If we got, 2, 4. We can't do it unless they just don't draw into it. We need to draw into Killmonger as well. Killmonger? Oh, we're still in this. We're alive. We're still alive. Barely alive. Let's go with this. See if they happen to draw the hammer. Wow, we're not alive. We're very much not okay, guys. Actually, do we win this one? Do we beat the... Oh, we beat the Infinite in the left lane because of Xandar. Xandar gave us an extra +3 on top of what they had there. Oh my gosh. That one doesn't feel good. Sometimes you'll take a little bit of luck. We will absolutely take it. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Legacy, and they're running a Legacy avatar. If you guys ever want a wild ride, look back at some of the old videos from like the beta or early to mid beta days. Like this avatar, when it was rolled out, was just Spider-Woman's hair. Like that's all it was. And I of course used that every single day until they changed it. I just thought it was so funny that it was just a lot of hair. And then all kinds of other changes that that kind of go overlooked. I kind of forget how much has changed since the game launched in early beta. Like so much about the game has shifted and changed, not just cards, but locations, effects, just overall, just the general game itself has rotated and shifted a drastic amount. I don't know why I did Mooster Fantastic last turn instead of a Storm. Storm was always the play there. We should have Stormed. We're gonna Storm now. Better late than never. I was too busy being reminiscent, and they of course play into Machine World. Ugh. I was too busy being reminiscent of beta days and what that craziness looked like. So it is a Mr. Fantastic list. Let's go ahead and, just in case they top decked something beautiful, we're going to do a Juggernaut, push their card out, hopefully stack it into Central Park, and cap them out there as well. But either way, we should win the flooded location. If they're playing a Magic to extend the game, we still get the flooded location locked down. They can change the left lane if they would like. Magic. There is the Magic. Which is very, it's just, I don't personally like Magic in Mr. Negative, but I think either way, Mr. Negative is just not very consistent. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I don't think it's definitely not in its prime. So we're gonna do, I mean, we could do 2 cards here. We don't want to let them draw any extra cards with Maximus, so we'll save that for the last turn. We could do Killmonger to clear the squirrels, but they're not hurt. That squirrel never hurt anybody. Let's go ahead and do Goose and then Polaris in the right lane. We're gonna do Goose in the left and Polaris in mid. On the last turn, I plan on doing like a Maximus and a Silver Surfer, and we used Polaris in mid because we want to get them as close to capping out this location as possible. That way, if they have the inverted Mystique, it's still limited in what it can provide for them. So, up until we drew that Nova, I was thinking Maximus. Maximus was the only thing on my mind. Is this better? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 extra here. This ends up being 9. Yeah, this is better. We're stacking our high power or as much power into mid as possible because we already have the flooded location locked down. So we just need to swing that middle location. And so we're looking to put as much extra power there as possible. Now, if they happen to copy the Iron Man with the Mystique and inverted Mystique in mid, then taking out that squirrel actually helps us more than it hurt. Wow, they go big into the Limbo location. Why did they stay? Valkyrie. I gotcha. That was almost terrible. They were under the assumption that they would have a completely capped out lane, so the Killmonger saved us. We didn't have any ongoings here that kept us above that limit. The Valkyrie could have been absolutely wild. Fortunately, we are able to hold it down. We will absolutely take the 2 cubes, and that's where we're going to end this one. I know it's been a bunch of like variety, a bunch of kind of strange games, but every time I record on a Friday or a Saturday, you get so much extra variety in the decks that you're facing. If you're playing on Friday and Saturday, it's a wild ride. Every single time, it's a wild ride. We're going to go ahead and end the video here. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.